Today's lesson is on subtracting mixed numbers. In this video, we're going to look at two different ways that we can subtract mixed numbers. So we're going to find the difference, and we want to write our answer in simplest form. So our first step is going to be to look at our denominators and see if we have a common denominator. For this first problem, we have 8 1/6 minus 4 2/3. Our denominators are different, so we need to get a common denominator. Our least common denominator, or least common multiple, for 6 and 3 would be 6. So our first mixed number will stay the same. And then on our second mixed number, we'll look at the fraction, and we need to multiply by 2 so we can get a denominator of 6. We also multiply the numerator by 2 as well. So now for our second mixed number, we have 4 and 4/6. When we are subtracting mixed numbers, we're going to subtract the fractions first. So we have 1/6 minus 4/6. Since our denominators are the same, we would do 1 minus 4, but we can't do 1 minus 4. So we will need to borrow from the 8. If we borrow 1 from the 8, it becomes a 7. We are working with 6. So when we borrow 1 whole, we actually borrow 6/6. Since we already had 1/6 and we borrowed 6/6, now we have 7/6. So this would become 7 and 7/6. And then we would subtract 4 and 4/6. Now we can subtract our fractions because we have 7 minus 4. And 7 minus 4 is 3. So for our fraction, we have 3/6. And now for our whole numbers, 7 minus 4 is 3. So our answer is 3 and 3/6. Our directions tell us to write it in simplest form. We can simplify our fraction because we can divide by 3. So our answer would then be 3, and then for our numerator, 3 divided by 3 is 1. And for our denominator, 6 divided by 3 is 2. So we have 3 and 1/2. Now for number 2, we have 7 and 2/5 minus 2 and 5/6. So our first step is to look at our denominators. We notice that we have different denominators, so we need to get a common denominator. Our least common denominator, or least common multiple, of 5 and 6 would be 30. So our first fraction will need to be multiplied by 6. So that we can get 30 for the denominator. Our whole number stays the same, so we have 7, and then 2 times 6 is 12, and 5 times 6 is 30. So we have 7 and 12/30. And then we're going to subtract our next mixed number. Since we have a 6 in our denominator, we're going to multiply by 5. So our whole number stays 2, and then 5 times 5 in the numerator is 25, and in our denominator, 6 times 5 is 30. So now we'll subtract our fractions. For our fractions, we have 12/30 minus 25/30. So we'll do 12 minus 25. We cannot do 12 minus 25, so we need to borrow from the 7. We'll borrow from the 7, and it becomes a 6. In this problem, we are working with 30ths. So when we borrow 1 whole, we borrow 30/30. Since we already had 12/30, and we borrow 30/30, we're now going to have a total of 42/30. So this would become 6 and 42/30. And then we're going to subtract 2 and 25/30. Now we can subtract our fractions. We're going to subtract 42/30 minus 25/30. So 42 minus 25 would be 17. So we're going to have 17/30. And now we subtract our whole numbers. 6 minus 2 is 4. So our answer is 4 and 17 30ths. Now we're going to continue looking at subtracting mixed numbers, but we're going to look at a different way. So for number 3, we have 4 1/3 minus 1 3/5. Our first step is the same. We're going to find a common denominator. Our denominators are different. We have 3 and 5. So we need to find our least common denominator or least common multiple, which is 15. So for our first fraction, we're going to multiply by 5. So we have 4 and 5/15. And then for our second fraction, we will multiply by 3. So now we have 1 and 9/15. When we look at this now, we have to subtract our fractions. We have 5/15 minus 9/15. Just like our other problems, we are not able to do 5 minus 9. So another way that we can solve this is we can turn each of our mixed numbers into an improper fraction. So 4 and 5/15, we would multiply 15 times 4, which is 60. Add the numerator, which is 5, so we have 65/15. And then for our second mixed number, we would do 15 times 1, which is 15, plus 9 is 24, so we have 24/15. Now we will subtract our numerator, so we do 65 minus 24, and 65 minus 24 would be 41. So we're going to now have 41/15. Our next step would then be to change 41/15 into a mixed number, because right now it's an improper fraction. So we'll do 41 divided by 15. 15 goes into 41 2 times, because 2 times 15 is 30. Then we will subtract, and we get 11. The 11 becomes our numerator, and then our denominator is the number that we divided by, which is also the same denominator that we had in our problem, so 15. So our answer would be 2 and 11/15. Now for number 4, we have 5 and 1/2 minus 3 2/3. So first we look at our denominators. We have a 2 and a 3. We need to get the least common denominator or the least common multiple for 2 and 3, and that would be 6. So we will multiply our first fraction by 3, and we will get 5 and 3/6. Then we're going to subtract our next mixed number. We would need to multiply the fraction by 2 so that we can get 6 in the denominator. So we'll have 3 and 4/6. You will notice that we are unable to subtract our fractions because we have 3/6 minus 4/6, and we can't do 3 minus 4. So we will go ahead and turn both of our mixed numbers into improper fractions. 6 times 5 is 30, plus 3 is 33. So we'll have 33/6. And then we're going to subtract our next mixed number. So we're going to change that into an improper fraction. 6 times 3 is 18, plus 4 is 22. So we have 22/6. Now we're going to subtract our numerator. So we have 33 minus 22, and that is 11. So we get 11/6. Now we're going to change 11/6 into a mixed number because right now it's an improper fraction. So we'll do 11 divided by 6, and 6 will go into 11 one time, and 1 times 6 is 6. We can subtract, and 11 minus 6 is 5. The 5 becomes our numerator, and the denominator is the number we divided by, which is also the same denominator in our problem. So our answer is 1 5/6. So in this video, you saw 2 different ways to subtract mixed numbers. You can either borrow from the whole number, or you can make them into improper fractions.